Your property revolution. No more worries, no more stress.
Are you worried that if you make the investment in a new deck that it might be too hot to walk on? One of the most common questions that we get is my composite deck going to get hot? So today in this video we're going to do some tests and we're going to check which deck boards get hotter than others. Here we've got the full spectrum of Trex samples. Trex has done some development and created some deck boards that they say has heat mitigation technology. We've also got over here a couple of competitor deck boards. We've got some TimberTech, True North, and then a good old regular wood deck board. So what we're going to be doing today is I'm going to turn on this heat lamp. We're going to let it get warmed up and we're going to take a few of these deck boards. We're going to set it in front of the heat lamp, let it heat up for about 30 seconds. And then I'm going to use this heat gun to pull the temperature off of the deck board. And then we're going to keep some notes and compare between the different deck boards which ones heat up more than others. I've actually never done this before, so this is a completely new test. My hypothesis is that the darker deck boards are probably going to get hotter than the lighter colored deck boards. But to do a fair comparison, we're going to compare between a couple different brands. That way we can see which ones actually get the hottest. So to start off, we'll do the wood deck board first. We're at 30 seconds. So the wood deck board is at 85 degrees. Next up, I've got a TimberTech deck board. This is actually a PVC deck board. PVC is not the same as composite. My assumption is that the PVC is going to stay cooler than the composite, but we're going to see here in a second. So I've got this TimberTech board in color Cypress, and this is TimberTech or AZAC's super high-end board. So this one's kind of at the top of the price range. We're going to put this one there for 30 seconds. And the reason we're doing 30 seconds in front of the heat lamp is if we leave the board there for 5 minutes, it's probably going to continue to heat up over the 5 minutes as it absorbs more and more heat from the heat lamp. So I'm just trying to create a consistent time allotment that the board is in front of the heat lamp before we pull the temperature. That way it's consistent for each board. So we're at 30 seconds again. And this one is 90.5 degrees. Next up, we've got TimberTech Silver Maple. We're at 30 seconds. So that one's 79.9 degrees. That one's actually cooler than treated wood. Next, we've got TimberTech Dark Cocoa. That one's 88 degrees. Next, I've got a True North board. In True North, one of their selling points is they've got the holes through the middle of the deck board. They say that keeps the board cooler. Not really sure if that's true or not. So we're going to do the True North board next. And that True North color is Brule, is the name of the color. Kind of a brownish shade. It's 86.4 degrees. So next we're going to dig into the Trex box. One of Trex's darkest colors is this color Clamshell. Like I said earlier, my presupposition is that this dark color is probably going to get hotter than some of the others. But we're going to go ahead and compare the Clamshell. So Clamshell is 86 degrees. Next, we've got this Trex Enhanced board called Honey Grove. This is one of the ones that has the heat mitigation technology. So if that actually works, this one should come out cooler than some of the other boards. So the Honey Grove is 86.5 degrees. One of the most popular colors in the Trex family is this Foggy Wharf. It's a really nice variegated color. It's mostly gray but has kind of a bluish hue, especially if it's near the water. This is one of the lighter colors in the Enhance line. So I would expect this one to come out a little bit cooler than some of the others. So that one is a little bit cooler. That's 83.7 degrees. It's quite a bit cooler than the wood. So this one here is one of Trex's high-end boards. It's in their Lineage family. It's got the heat mitigation technology in it. And this is a fairly light colored board. So we'll see how this one compares to the others. So that one's 84.2 degrees. Trex Havana Gold is a really pretty color that has more like dark brown colors in it. So we'll try this one next. That one came out at 78.1. So far, we've got kind of a range in temperature retention. Treated wood, kind of as our like benchmark, was at 85 degrees after 30 seconds. The TimberTech Cypress was our worst offender at 90.5 degrees, followed by the second worst offender being 88, the TimberTech Dark Cocoa at 88 degrees. True North board was at 86.4. The best one was Trex Havana Gold at 78.1 degrees, and the Trex boards range from 78.1 to 86 degrees. So really right in line with what treated wood would be. Now, as we are doing this test, I'm wondering, is 30 seconds enough to make a fair comparison, because these deck boards in the summertime, they're going to be out in the heat and they're going to stay in the heat all day. So we're going to pivot a little bit in our test. What we're going to do next is we're going to leave each deck board in front of the heat lamp for 1 minute. Then we're going to shut the lamp off and take the temperature. That way the thermometer is not pulling any reflection from the heat lamp in case that's skewing our results. So we're going to start again with the treated wood. I'm going to leave that on there for a minute, then I'm going to shut the heat lamp off and then pull the temperature. Okay, so we're at 1 minute. I shut the lamp off and I'm going to pull the temperature. The wood deck board is at 89.2 degrees. Up next, we're going to do the TimberTech Cypress. This was one of our worst offenders on the 30-second test. So we're at 1 minute. Shut that off, pull the temperature. And the Cypress board is at 95 degrees. So up next we have the TimberTech Silver Maple. We're gonna run that for 1 minute. So we're at 1 minute there. The temperature on that one came out at 88.9 degrees. So far that's been the largest spread between the 30-second and the 1 minute test. Next we've got TimberTech and Dark Cocoa. On the 30-second test, the TimberTech and Dark Cocoa was the second hottest out of all the ones that we tested. Okay, we're at 1 minute here. TimberTech Dark Cocoa came back at 90 degrees. Okay, next we've got the True North board. Again, they always talk about the holes in the board keeping the board from getting hot. So we're gonna give that a minute in front of the lamp. All of these with the 1 minute, they're not like consistent with the difference. One of them was 10 degrees warmer and one was only 2. Okay, 1 minute there. That one's at 83.3 degrees. That one's actually cooler than the first test. Okay, up next, we've got the Trex clamshell board, which is a darker color. On our last test with the 30 seconds, between all the boards that we tested, clamshell came back number 4th as far as heat retention goes. So we're gonna see what it does after 1 minute. Okay, 1 minute there. That one is at 91.9 degrees. Next we have the Trex Honey Grove. $83.1 degrees. That is actually the coolest one so far. Up next we have Trex Foggy Wharf. 1 minute on the Foggy Wharf. 90.5 degrees. Up next we have Trex Transcend in color Salt Flat. They are behaving a little bit differently with the light off. I wondered if because it's like a radiant heat, I wondered if that was skewing the 30-second test. So on the Salt Flat color, 81.5 degrees. Up next we have the last color that we had tested, Trex Transcend Havana Gold. It's 87.6 degrees. Okay, so we did 2 tests. We tested each of the deck boards in front of the heat lamp for 30 seconds and pulled the temperature. And then we did another test where we left the deck board in front of the heat lamp for 1 minute, shut the lamp off, and then pulled the temperature. So temperatures on the 30-second test ranged from 78.1 degrees with the Havana Gold up to 90.5 degrees with TimberTech Cypress. Most of the composite deck boards, other than the 2 two of the TimberTech boards. Most of the deck boards were really quite similar to treated wood on the 30-second test. Then we tested 1 minute, shut the lamp off because I was concerned that using a radiant thermometer and radiant heat that it was maybe absorbing some of the heat from the lamp. So we let each deck board heat up for 1 minute, shut the lamp off, pulled the temperature. Our temperatures ranged from 81.5 degrees up to 95 degrees. So our worst offenders on the 1 minute heat lamp test was TimberTech in color cypress, TimberTech in dark cocoa, followed by Trex clamshell. So that kind of is in line with what I expected. I expected the dark colors to heat up more, but that being said, there is definitely a difference between TimberTech and the other deck boards that we tested. The TimberTech deck boards are definitely coming back hotter. Most of the deck boards kind of hovered around the same range, other than, like I said, those three. And the best performers were the Trex boards that have the heat mitigation technology in them. The color Salt Flat was by far the coolest, at almost 14 degrees cooler than the hottest TimberTech board. And the Trex boards that had the heat mitigation technology in them ran 2 to 5 degrees cooler than the boards that did not have that technology in them. So I'm glad we did this little test. I hope this helps you as you make a decision about the products that you want to use on your deck at your house. If you are concerned that your deck board is going to heat up in the sun, my recommendation is avoid the darker colors if possible. Try to pick either a medium to light color. And if you're truly concerned about it, I do think that the Trex boards with the heat mitigation in them do make a difference. In each Trex line, those boards are the same cost as the other boards in that family. So that's something to consider for your project. If there's something else that you'd like to see us test or a question you'd like us to answer about your home project, let us know in the comments below and we'd be happy to help.
Call Property Revolution. No more worries, no more stress. Call Property Revolution.